Welcome. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are right now. I would like to share some good news for you about the Scrum Guide expansion pack. So Jeff Sutherland, John Coleman, and I, Ralph Jokam, we are here to give you the Scrum Guide and explain the Scrum Guide expansion pack for you here a little bit more in detail. So, Jeff, I hand it over to you.
The pace of change is accelerating since the 2020 guide. I've spent 5 years writing 4 books on where does Scrum come from? What are the first principles? How do we incorporate AI into Scrum? So the Scrum Guide is 5 years old, but a lot of things have happened. And people are asking me, are there going to be updates? And there are constant questions. So people need more information to better understand the Scrum Guide.
And I, as a Scrum trainer, I always see similar problems popping up in my trainings about what does a specific word or term mean. And I think there's also a reason to go ahead and clarify those, add a little bit more. The Scrum Guide is beautiful. It's really short and compact, and really everything is distilled. But sometimes I believe it would be meaningful to go a little bit more into details. The other thing which is important in a successful Scrum implementation is also that people outside the Scrum team play a pivotal role in helping the team to become successful. A team cannot become successful in isolation. And also there was this question about roles and accountabilities, and roles are back. So the accountabilities stay, but we have reintroduced the ideas of roles in Scrum.
And of course, we realize as well that a lot of people in product management are using Scrum, and we wanted to improve the coherence between Scrum and product management. A cynic could interpret the 2020 Scrum Guide as a feature factory. We wanted to ensure really that people wouldn't understand it that way and adopt it that way. We also want to be more open as well about combining and integrating other approaches with Scrum as well. And our recommendation is that Scrum would be mutable, actually, that you could actually see for yourself what the value of each individual part is for yourself. And so we've spent some time expanding on our definitions so that you can be clearer about what each part of Scrum really adds value on.
So why does product thinking matters? And this is one of the points which is personally for me coming strong from the product owner side and thinking of Scrum. And it's really that John just mentioned it. Scrum is, if you read it right now in the guide, is you can really read it as a feature factory. And many organizations misunderstand it for that. So we really want to bring back or emphasize more the product thinking and the importance of proper discovery and ownership, and also validation about what you do. So Scrum is product-centric. We have a product owner since close to 30 years. Projects, they're temporary. Products are there, and you have to maintain them for as long as you have. And we want to get out of this short-term project mindset into this long-term product mindset. And for that, it's really kind of the combination about how can we combine that, our strategic thinking within the organization with the vision of our product and the product goals. So the product vision was kind of a little bit left out, and I think that's also an important aspect. Also discovery is an important part of good product ownership. Now, how do you frame problems? How do you understand it? How do you prioritize possibilities, experiments you could be running? And also the thinking in outcome. So there's this misunderstanding often between increment and product, also in the context of the definition of done. So we have an answer for that in the expansion pack as well. But we also see the product owner as a leader, a person who is really there to bring in the people, work together, solve the unsolvable, solve tough problems, and not just the person who sits in the corner and writes product backlog items and types them into Jira, and then the trade-offs with different stakeholders as well. So stakeholder management is also put a little bit more into the center. Stakeholders are mentioned, if I remember correctly, 14 times in the Scrum Guide, but never explained what they are. We do. So Scrum is really there to support feasibility, usability, discovering of desirability, value, and viability in the long run.
This whole area of product thinking is really important in the emerging world of AI. I work daily with 3 Scrum teams. One of them is an AI team. And if you do not have good product thinking, the AIs will produce a bunch of crap really fast. Okay, so you actually have to be a really good product owner to guide a team of AIs. And you really need to also understand the basics. I've written 4 books in the last couple of years on first principles in Scrum. And Scrum evolves out of complex adaptive system theory, self-organizing teams, collaborating together to achieve a common goal, and operating at the edge of chaos. And all of this is a huge underbody of research upon which Scrum is based. And we need to understand that to understand concepts like emergence, which are sort of in the Scrum guide, but not explained. How does something emerge? Well, this is in the Agile Manifesto. The best architects emerge really through experimentation and iteration. We want to talk a lot more about emergence. We also want to bring AI in as a team member. And every day, one of the big challenges is to get AIs to cooperate together, because you're going to need to have multiple AIs to produce good products. And they don't understand natively, at least in the current state of the LLMs, they don't understand natively that they need to cooperate, share, ask questions, and so forth. And it's only when that collaboration process that we know well in Scrum is implemented with the AIs that you really get extreme performance. And in my work and my training for many years now, we've incorporated patterns, particularly patterns from the Scrum book, The Spirit of the Game, which the Global Patterns Group spent a decade writing down all the important patterns that are part of Scrum. There are certain of those patterns that are absolutely critical to get high-performing Scrum, and particularly in the world of AI, the AI needs to understand them. Scrum supports experimentation, parallel experimentation. One of the things I've noticed with the AI team is that when you run into a big problem, maybe it's design. In the previous world, we weren't ready to re-implement the entire product, right? Because it might take us 3 to 6 months, and it might not work at the end. But a team of AIs can re-implement the whole product with 100% new code in a few days. And so when that's going on, you can do a lot more parallel experiments in design and implementation of great products. So AI has a huge impact on Scrum, but also Scrum is even more valuable in the world of AI. The AIs love Scrum. It's very logical, it's very organized, and it's very efficient. And those are 3 primary goals of all the AIs: is to live in a world we can get stuff done, we can get it done really fast, we can build really great things, and the human users can really like what the AI has delivered. That's their goal. It's built into their code, right? Make us happy. Let's hope that stays that way. So that's a few comments on introducing AI, introducing complexity, introducing complex adaptive systems, which have always been there, but need a little more information to help people in the world of AI that we're moving into.
Thank you, Jeff. And it kind of leads on to other assistance we need to offer as well, because a lot of Scrum teams are doing very well, and they're getting great results, and that's really fantastic. There are a lot of Scrum teams that are kind of struggling a little bit because there's an expectation that we sprinkle the magic fairy dust or whatever, and great things will happen. And sometimes it does, but sometimes in more complicated organizations, you do need more support from the people surrounding the teams as well. The stakeholders, for example, the people who are looking for the work, including customers and users, the managers, if they exist. Well, we went to a lot of trouble as well explaining self-managing teams as well, because that's often taken for granted. So how can we bring in the great work from the great thought leaders out there on strategy and emergent strategy? And how can we try to not mix up the ends and the means? A lot of people will often come to you with an idea already with the end in mind, but actually there are some outcomes that they're looking for. People think they're doing us a favor, giving us the solution, but maybe if we understood the problem or the opportunity, that would be much more helpful. And that's really where we want teams to be really cracking problems and capturing opportunities and doing so adaptively. And so we also have a section here as well on the adaptive enterprise. We want to kind of reach out to the beyond budgeting community who've got a very coherent approach to trying to get management processes to be consistent with agility, actually, and adaptiveness in general. And humanocracy as well from Gary Hamel, sociocracy. There are some wonderful ideas from these approaches that we've written about in the Scrum Guide expansion pack. We've been very specific about what leadership is, and a leader is someone who demonstrates leadership, and we've explained what leadership is. And you could be a leader at any level. You could be a leader in a team, as Ralph said earlier. A product owner should be a leader, and same with a Scrum Master. Managers should be as well. But what is that, and what do we expect? And can we be more evidence informed? Can we have distributed leadership? And we touched on scaling, but we didn't. There's lots of patterns out there already on scaling. So we gave some guidance on what you do with multi-team systems. And so one of the reasons why it's better to have fewer product backlogs, and the logic behind that, because a lot of people don't get that, and so we explain this, and we also explain some trade-offs that you have. In fact, the word trade-off appears a lot in the document. There are a lot of trade-offs that we have to deal with. So really what we want are leaders who shape environments, leaders being members of teams, but also management if they exist. And also you could argue as well, stakeholders as well, demonstrating some leadership as well, because if we're in a world where a lot of the work is unpredictable, well, maybe we need to be embracing that and capturing the emergence and letting innovation thrive, really. And so this guide is really to help you to be truly adaptive, to have a fully adaptive enterprise, not just Scrum at a team level, but also what are the other things that will help us, what will support you to be more successful with your Scrum adoptions. And so these are all recommendations. They're not rules. There are things that we think you should consider. And we've written it in such a way that we hope you see the value of each part. And then it's for you to decide in your organization, I guess, what you're going to adopt. We also give you some signposts as well to some other areas that maybe you can research. So maybe we should sum up. Ralph, what would be your one-liner on this?
Well, for me, it's really important to clarify. So this expansion pack is not a replacement for the current Scrum Guide. It's still a very cohesive, easy to read, understand document. It's more a bridge. It's more like, hey, you have read the Scrum Guide, you have understood certain concepts, other things you're struggling, and now there's so many things which happened in the last 5 years. So it's a bridge into present, into the current world we are living in with all the new opportunities, but also challenges. And I think it really should help teams, leaders, and organizations with Scrum more effectively by seeing more clearer explained examples and going a little bit more into details in specific areas. And I think that's a good way, because the idea is, as we agreed on, is that we regularly will update the expansion pack, so it will be a living document. So going forward, that can be then a place for people to go there to see, okay, what should I do now in my given situation?
Scrum works best at the edge of chaos. How do we know that? There was a mathematical theorem proved by one of the founders of complex adaptive systems theory, Christopher Langdon at Los Alamos Labs, showing that complex systems evolve more quickly at the edge of chaos. But how does that happen, and how do you take advantage of emergence, empiricism, trusting that things will evolve? All of that needs a few more words to help people understand the Scrum Guide.
Thank you, Jeff. And it reminds us as well that strategy, leadership, and adaptability are everyone's responsibility.
Oops, John just dropped. Hopefully, you're back. You just dropped.
Yeah, it's okay. So we'll be dropping the expansion pack on the 11th of June. We will have a session together again where you can ask questions and drop your comments and all that kind of thing. We will share the document as well where you can add comments. So basically, even though we'll announce this, and we're announcing it now, but even though we'll be dropping it on the internet on the 11th of June, there will be another update in September. So we'll be, because AI is moving so fast, because things are changing so quickly, we feel we have to do that. And also we should live in the spirit of agility, shouldn't we? And try to adapt as we go along and not wait for too long to have an update for the document. It's also an opportunity as well for people to give us their feedback. Maybe we didn't get everything perfect, but maybe you can give us some feedback, and maybe some of your ideas will be embedded in the September release. So we're really looking forward to sharing this with everybody. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.